Smoke is quieting down. Seems like we've got to a lot of the smoke. Dub, you got smoke?
So I got in bed, I called my girl. Oh man, baby, long day today. Tired. Oh my God, this guest is yada yada yada. By the time I got 3 minutes into the story, the JBP community said, "Breaking news: the podcast had Ace Hood, Tiana Taylor, JID, and Offset."
Nah, you ain't do that, dog.
What?
I did.
Started adding people, all this duck shit I hate. So thank God he's here.
A long day. I was talking. I thought I was talking to my peoples only, but I was out of line.
No,
It
you
wouldn't happen
didn't.
again.
Don't say shit like that. No, you didn't.
But that's what I did.
Oh, your people. Why would you think that?
But when I'm saying, you checked me. I got checked. But I you know what's so
Thank
crazy?
God, Flip is
Wait, hold
here.
on. Even if I was wrong, I felt the way how this nigga checked me. Something is wrong with me. I'm like, why this nigga calling me like that? Nigga, who you think you are? Don't call my phone like that.
Stop looking.
Prepare better so we not making honest
You know what I'm saying
mistakes.
to me? Ish.
All right, y'all. We are back with the files. Now listen, QueenzFlip was this close to getting fired on the Joe Budden podcast. I'm talking about possibly breaking something in his contract that could have had him walking straight out the door with no return. And listen, Joe did a Spaces right after dropping this episode, and I asked him personally, how mad were you with Flip on a scale from 1 to 10? And he said on a level 20. Whoo! Here's what went down. After Joe Budden had a crazy run of 4 back-to-back guests, JID, Offset, Ace Hood, and Tiana Taylor, QueenzFlip decided to hop on X and start up a space. Now, Flip didn't just get on there to chat. He started telling his audience behind-the-scenes information about the show. But here's the problem. In that audience, where people from the JBTV community are as well, right? The JBTV community is a direct part of the Joe Budden's fan base. They were listening, and they wasted no time in running back to broadcast everything Flip had just spilled. That right there, that could have been a straight up breach of contract, right? Because I don't know if Flip is even allowed to reveal unreleased information about the pod, like upcoming guests to the public, before it's officially announced. And apparently, Joe Budden didn't take too kindly to that at all. Joe confronted Flip, let him know exactly how he felt, and even hit him with the line, "We're lucky." Well, he hit us with the line, "We're lucky that we even see Flip here," right? Now, that's not exactly a warm hug or a pat on the back. You feel what I'm saying? I feel like Joe really reamed him behind the scenes. Flip tried to play it off as if, it was an honest mistake, but Joe wasn't buying that. In fact, Joe looked at him dead in the eye and basically told him at his age, he doesn't care about honest mistakes. He told Flip that he should prepare better, okay? Now, I had asked Joe about that on the space as well. And Joe said, Dub, at my age, there's just no room for that, okay? And there should be ramifications for people that do things like that, okay? And let me tell you something. I know firsthand exactly what Joe means by that. About a year ago, a friend sent me a video of Whack 100 spreading lies about Joe, and instead of fact checking, I jumped the gun and posted it on X. Joe came into my space, talked to me for a couple minutes, but the second he saw that tweet I put out, which was like questioning Whack's claims, he got up out of there. And that was on me. I didn't prepare. I didn't fact check. And Joe basically saying to Flip, you've been in this game way too long to be making these rookie mistakes, okay? But here's the thing. Flip is a veteran. He's more seasoned than me. He shouldn't even be able to use the honest mistake excuse, okay? The only reason Joe let this one slide is because Flip actually has equity and value at the JBP. But don't get it twisted. That wasn't, Flip's first time crossing the line. The most recent one I can remember is when Flip called TMZ about Joe sleepwalking, Okay. Joe didn't like it, but it wasn't enough to pull the trigger. Okay. This time, no. The tension was a little different. Okay. It was a little weird in the room. However, which was odd to me, Flip felt violated that Joe checked him. In Flip mind, he's his own boss. He got Flip the network. He got his own people and all of that. He felt Joe should have understood it wasn't malicious, okay? And it was just an honest mistake. But here's the problem. QueenzFlip has a little bit of big-headed syndrome, okay? He thinks everything revolves around him. He thought when he was talking on Spaces, only his people were listening. But the truth is, over the past few years, the Joe Budden community has actually boosted Flip's visibility. Yes, Flip has brought his own audience to the JBP, but over time, that audience has matured. He's not doing the same wild skits anymore. He's moved into long form content, but it's still ghetto content. Okay, it's still a little ghetto, right? Just with like a fresh coat, you know what I mean, of paint. But because it's matured, more people from the Joe Budden community now tap into his spaces, into his content and stuff like that, right? Because it's a point of conversation, okay, on a Sunday when they go into the JBTV community spaces. So when Flip got on there spilling tea, those same people went right back and told the whole community. And honestly, for Flip to believe he's only talking to his people, like he's either lying and using that as a cover up because he don't want Joe to get mad, you know what I'm saying? Or he's just that self-centered in his own head that when he thinks that he's in his spaces, it's only his audience, right? And then to top it off, Flip had the nerve to look Joe in the face on air and ask him, "Who do you think you are?" Right? Now, that's crazy. This cast talks like they talk to their boss in a way I've never seen before. Right? Do you think Flip is playing with fire here? Right? Like, is he really playing with fire? Is he trying to get fired? Because remember before he was like, I'm trying to get fired. Or what? Let me ask you this too: was Joe right to check Flip publicly? Now, I think so because he's the boss. Also, when we were speaking to Joe on Spaces, he said, I like to come to work and speak about my things on air, right? So, that's a part of him and the Joe Budden makeup. Or do you believe that he should have handled it privately? And I think for the most part he did handle probably all the crazy shit he said to and for the most part I'm pretty sure he did say some of that crazy stuff he said to Flip behind the scenes and not on air, And here's the big one. Is this the beginning of the end for QueenzFlip at the JBP? I mean, he has been focused a lot on his content and doing things and stuff like that, taking off and stuff. And Joe kind of highlighted that, in some of these last episodes, saying that Flip has been going to Cincinnati, trying to help people find their dad and do all of that type of stuff like that, which is very commendable and dope. But, it seems like these last couple episodes, Flip he's been engaging, he's been really good, but it does seem like he's a little out of touch with things. Maybe he's just in his zone, or maybe he's going through something that we all don't know. When I do see Flip Pod now, he does seem a little bit more calculated in his speech and what he's saying. He's trying to use bigger words and stuff like that. So maybe I could be confusing his new way of podcasting and being more calculated as him fading out of the Joe Budden podcast, but I could be wrong. You guys let me know what you think. I mean, they're all in contract right now. However, doing something like this, spilling the beans on guests, taking that to your audience and and blowing it up there, that's a whole different thing, And even though Flip and Joe was cool, I don't think Joe is gonna let their friendship blur the lines of business. Okay, and the way it's looking, we might be watching a slow build to a big blow up. This could be something later where, it's just adding on to Flip's, resume of things that he's doing at the JBP that could terminate him. All right. Now, I wouldn't want that. Flip has been a good addition. He's been, great entertainment. He's from Queens. It was one of the reasons why I actually tapped in even more because those, Ice and Ish at one point were boring, and Flip brought in a lot of excitement and entertainment. However, now that you have Mark there and you have a lot of stuff going on, the dynamics do change on who you may need and who you may want. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, right? And we'll be back with the files.
My guy Dub too. That's my man though.
Gang gang.
That's my man, Big Dub.